I'm here with Joakim to talk about Necrophobic's latest upcoming record, In the Twilight Grey, out March 15th on Century Media Records. First of all, thank you very much for taking the time to chat with me about the band and about the new record.
Thank you for having me on your show.
So let's start off by looking a little bit at the legacy of the band. When you started the band back in the day, I'm not going to mention the date because I don't want to date you or to date me. I don't want either one of us to feel old. So, but when you started the band back in the day, did you ever envision that the band would end up with the legacy that you have created over the years?
Absolutely no. Yeah, the band is been around for 35 years this year. And when we started this band, I could not think of being in a band or playing in this band 35 years later. So yeah, it's amazing that we are still around and we are putting out albums, and yeah, it seems like we are getting bigger and bigger for each release. So we must do something right. We know we do it from the heart, but it's always nice to see people in the crowd that
Are enjoying
like
it.
you.
You've been the only consistent member in the band from the beginning all the way until now. Some would look at that change in lineup and see that as a negative, but do you see positives in having had somewhat of a change here and there from album to album almost?
Of course, when it comes to that point when someone leaves or that you have to let one go, or it's always, you know, we are friends in this band, and it's always hard to hear one wanting to leave or fire someone. But I think also we or I, as the only original member, has been lucky to find good music writers that wants to play in this band and create music with me, and that happened twice. The first one was when David left the band. I was thinking to quit the band myself because he was such an important person for the band. Then our bass player at that time, he was friend with Sebastian, and I have met Sebastian several times on different shows and stuff. So when he came into the band and I realized that he's a great songwriter, then like you said, it could also be an injection for a band. Something happens within the band with a member change. Then later on, when Sebastian and Johan decided to have a break, and my bass player said after half a year that we cannot wait for Johan and Sebastian anymore. We have a tour coming up and a new record deal, so we searched for a new guitar player, and that was Fredrik Folkare from Unleashed. And he also adjusted to become a great songwriter for Necrophobic during a period of time. Then Johan and Sebastian came back in 2016, I guess. And we are the strong unit again. Johan and Sebastian has been in the band for a very long time if you put those two sections together. So I'm more used to Sebastian than anyone else in the band.
When it comes to creating a new record, considering the longevity of the band, do you have an idea of what you want the next album to sound like, to feel like? Do you outline what the end goal is for a record, or the way you create music is a little bit more in the moment?
Yes, I'm not the songwriter, but I know how Sebastian is working because he's the main songwriter, and yeah, he knows that Necrophobic is not this how should I say it, this progressive band. Necrophobic sounds the way we sound. From record to record, still we try to find new ways to sound necrophobic. We are like, Iron Maiden. When you put an Iron Maiden album on, you instantly hear it's Iron Maiden. So we don't have a box to work within, but we have a certain way to create music. It has to involve a lot of melodies, a lot of dark atmospheric feel to the melodies. But Sebastian has explained to me that when he writes songs, he sits with I know you have interviewed him for the last album.
For the last album cycle, yeah.
Yeah. What was I trying to say? He's sitting with his guitar practicing day in and day out. He might even sleep with the guitar. His wife maybe not so happy about it, but no, but seriously, no, but and sometimes there comes a riff, of course, but it has to be something more that kickstarts him. And for this album, it was actually our new bass player Tobias that joined us since 2 years ago. And we have a WhatsApp chat group where we talk about band stuff, and he sent us a 10-track demo tape, and he explained that this is something I have written. It was not addressed to Necrophobic. It was not addressed to any band. He also played in Grave and Dismember, and yeah, so and Sebastian got a kickstart from that demo and started to listen and search for what can we use here for Necrophobic, and he found stuff there and started to build a new album. I didn't know. I of course knew about that Tobias sent this demo because it was in the chat group, but all of a sudden Sebastian dropped new songs in the chat group, and everyone was, oh, is it album time already? Came out of nowhere, and it was fantastic music. So yeah, his process had started there from this demo, I can say, that Tobias sent in the chat group.
When you look at the sound of this record, is there an element in the sound of this album that you can identify as the fingerprint of the band? Because you said that the band is very consistent. You try to change a few things here and there, but it's very consistent throughout each record. What would be that fingerprint, that consistency that you see on this album, for example?
Well, we once again we recorded with Fredrik Folkare, Unleashed guy, that we have been doing since Rimturism in 2006. So the sound is more or less the way we want it. Of course, it sounds different from each album because it's a new recording, and there's, how should I explain it? It's something that happens in the studio. It's a capture of what's going on right there, right now when you record it, because there's no save. You cannot press save, and that will be the sound for 100 years. So it's all the time. It's a new sound. On this album, I think it's maybe more clean sounding than any of our previous albums, but I think it suits the songs because there's a larger variety on this album. We have songs that really flirts on purpose with our 90s period. Like I think there are 2 or 3 songs that, when I heard them the first time, I thought, wow, this really sounds like Necrophobic in the 90s. And then you have songs like As Stars Collide, for example, which is probably the most heavy song that we have done so far, because there is no fast beat in that song, and that's a challenge for a band that wants to play fast all the time. And also dare to do it, because we are really confident right now, because we have been doing this for so long. So we dared to do it, because if the audience doesn't like it, we liked it when we did it. And there are those really fast songs and atmospheric and grandiose sounding songs. But when you put those on the same album, I think this sound that we have on this album it's very suitable for the whole album, which is more clear, still aggressive, and still thunderous, or I don't know.
Insert the word that you wish, right? Insert the word that you wish.
Yeah.
As a drummer, how have you ever stopped to think in terms of how you define yourself as a drummer being in a band like Necrophobic? Do you worry about that, of how maybe not how others see you as a drummer, but how you see yourself as a drummer, what kind of drummer you are?
If I know I'm not Dave Lombardo, but if someone is complaining about my drummings, I don't care, because I play the drums that I have been playing for all those years. And since Sebastian is taking a lot of space, and he should do, because he's a really skillful guitar player with all the solos and all the melodies he plays, and then vocals. And then when you put it together, I don't find myself showing off on in the music. I rather keep the beat, do this easy stuff that don't take any focus, so to speak, like a pop song. You can, yeah, you understand.
I know what
it's
you mean. I know what
easy,
you mean.
but it must be fit into the song, and that's my style of playing.
The reason I'm asking that is because when I was listening to the record, I really felt like you guys did that. You gave the guitars and the vocals to a certain degree, the podium, and then the drums and bass come a little bit further back, creating some sort of. It's not consistent that way. Some songs, the gap between the two are a lot closer, and then there's some songs where the gap between them is a lot bigger. And when you start to kick in the double pedaling, and when you start to kick in a little bit more oomph on the drums, you could see the power coming through. But it was obvious to me, at least from my personal point of view, that you really allowed yourself to be a little bit more a backseat driver, and have the guitars and vocals be the one sitting on the passenger seat and on the driver's seat.
Yeah. I'm like, me and Tobias are like the foundation. So Sebastian and Anders, for example, have something steady to stand on and do their stuff. Maybe it's corny to say so, but yeah, drums and bass are rhythm section, and all the new young drummers, they're from a different time and a different school. They want to show off and be the star of the band, but they are not the stars.
That's true.
The songwriter is the star, and the music is the star, and you do it as a band.
Do you look when you look at the band as a whole, and even though each one of you has a different part in it or a piece in it, when it comes to putting an album together, are you guys hands-on with the process all the way through? Either be the artwork, the production, the mixing. Are you guys very into it and a part of it?
One thing that I miss from back in the day, it was when we record in like Sunlight Studio, for example. All the band was there for 2 weeks, even though I was making the drums with we in Sweden we call it sluss guitar. It's like, Sebastian is just playing very easy for me to record the drums. But nowadays, each and every one of us is there alone with Fredrik, to be more focused and more efficient, so to speak. There's no room for chit-chatting or looking at Facebook or stuff like that. We are there for one reason. We should record our instrument as good as we can and as fast as we can. Nothing else. Now what was your question?
If you guys are hands-on with the process all the way through.
Yeah. But when everyone is done with their stuff, starts the mixing, and then I think there's this band effort, because everyone is involved and have an opinion and to make it sound the best way it could sound. So everyone is part of that process. I used to do a lot of layout for Necrophobic on many of the albums, but this time we used Jens Rydén, which is also our photographer, and for this album also the front cover artwork is made by Jens. So I could step aside and let Jens do the design for the LP and the CD, and yeah, so
you fully trust the process and the person behind it.
Yeah, we have known each other for many years, and we went to the same art school and stuff like that. So, and our design is quite equal. So I feel very comfortable with Jens doing the layout.
So the last record came out during the pandemic. Do you feel a little bit cheated that the album came out at a time where you guys couldn't play shows, couldn't tour, couldn't do much? Are you looking at this record now almost as a double album and take both of them on the road with you?
Both yes and no, because we when it came out, I think the pandemic wasn't there already, but of course it affected the sales and the live shows, because there was almost 2 years with no openings for shows. But we did in 2022 and 2023. We have played very much of the new booked or the shows that was postponed came all together during those 2 years. So it was a very hectic period, but a really fun period. So I guess, well, not normal amount of playing for an album, but I think now when this album comes out in 1 week, all the shows after that are to focus on that album, choose the songs that we want to play from that album, and then we make a mixture of all the past albums and vary from time to time between, but not 2 albums support for the news for the new live sets. It's in the Twilight Grey that is the main
focus.
Yeah.
And speaking of that main focus, so what kind of plans do you have already for the rest of 2024? Are you guys looking at the summer festival season, some touring?
We don't do full-scale tours anymore. We do weekend shows or mini tours, stuff like that. But we are already booked until next year, even. But it's many festivals. I think we have July free and can have a vacation.
You can go to the beach in July.
Yeah. Even here in Sweden, we can go to the beach in July. And that will be fun. And there's in April comes shows that is a bit more special, because we're going to Mexico and Colombia for the first time, actually. That is something that we extra looking forward to. I mean, it's always fun to play wherever you go, But when you go to Latin America, it's a bit special because we haven't played there a lot, so it's extra exciting for us also. And we know those Latin American metal guys and girls, they are crazy.
They are. The crowds in Latin America are something very unique.
Yeah,
They take it to a whole new level.
yeah. You think you're playing Iron Maiden when you come there. It's so crazy.
I have one last question for you. It's not necessarily about the band, but something about more about you and something that influenced the band. I read somewhere that Slayer obviously was a big influence for you guys, even in the name of the band. And
Mm.
they announced that they're going to be playing some reunion shows, some festival shows. For someone who's been in the band for nearly 4 decades, as yourself,
Mm.
what's your take on a band that has the legacy that Slayer has, and that it's been a huge influence on you, and now coming back out of retirement for these shows?
First of all, it was a bit weird that Kerry King went out or made public that with his album cover and the band name, and he was speaking about that he hadn't talked to the other guys in since they played their last show in 2019, I guess it was. And then a
Yeah,
few weeks later, Tom Araya says we are going to play reunion shows from out of nowhere. And I think also Kerry King mentioned that he hadn't spoke with Tom Araya since that last show, not on the phone even, or on the phone, or on the text or anything. So it was kind of surprising. But personally, I think as long as a band have fun together, because I don't think I see many comments on Facebook. They are doing it for the money. No, they're doing it because that's the only way they know how to live. You know, play music and play live. That's the reason, not the money. And if you have fun in the band, then you should play together. No matter what you said before. I don't know if Kiss would play again, but who knows? But that's a different story.
yeah. With Kiss, I don't know. I don't believe anything they say as far as retirement is concerned. So you never know. I'm with you on that. I'm a huge Slayer fan. They're a huge part of my upbringing as far as being a metalhead is concerned.
Mm.
I think it's one of those things that maybe touring is not on the cards for Tom. I don't think he wants to tour anymore. But doing a show here and a show there is something that's a lot more feasible. It was just a weird timing,
Mm.
like you said, because Kerry King announces his solo stuff, and then a week later, it's like, well, Slayer is back. So I thought that
Yeah.
I thought that was a little bit strange. I just wanted to get your take on it since you're a huge Slayer fan. So it's always nice
Yeah.
to hear that what others are thinking about it. Joaquin, thank you
Mm.
very much for your time today. I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Necrophobic, the album In the Twilight Gray, comes out March 15th on Century Media. All the best to you and the guys.
Yeah. Thank you very much for having me on the show.
Take care, man. All
Take
the
care.
best.
Yeah. Bye bye.
Bye.